Things slowing down in your market? Hey, I can tell you in my market, it is getting a little slower than what I thought it would be. But let's talk about it on this segment of the Gig Geezer. Thanks for joining this segment of the Gig Geezer. Well, if you're a first-time visitor of the Gig Geezer, hey, thanks for coming by, and hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. And for those of you who are returning and checking out another segment of the Gig Geezer, hey, thanks for coming by again. And the conversation is, it's been a little rough lately for the Gig Geezer. While I've been making my numbers, making at least $200 a day, it's not come without a bit of consternation, and that's putting it nicely. In fact, I'm in the midst of this hustle, Friday, April 8th. I'm about an hour and 45 minutes in. I've made all of $18.62. Now, I just happened to pick up two orders, one from DoorDash, Chick-fil-A for whatever that amount is, $8-9, and then Grubhub another $8. And then I've also accepted a waiter/bite squad for $9.06. Now the DoorDash and Grubhub orders are somewhat in a linear vicinity of each other, and then it's going to be going back across the road that I will be dropping off the Grubhub order to pick up the waiter/bite squad order. And hopefully, over the next couple of hours that I'm out for this first half hustle, I will bring this back to respectability, maybe even making it close for the first half hustle. Now, all that, I hope I didn't lose anybody real fast though, but all of that is to say, it's not always this bright, cheery story when you're out here doing the hustle, and I'm showing that end of it as well for myself. Now, I've not done a lot of ride-alongs because I guess I've thought that I just would bore people to death. I mean, or I'd piss people off because I've made the money that I've made. Folks are cynics online. People will claim that you're photoshopping information, and I will tell you that yes, I Photoshop, but the fact is that all of the graphics that you see on my segments of the Gig Geezer, all the thumbnails when you go on YouTube and see what topic that I'm posting, I do all that. I do all the editing of these segments of the Gig Geezer. I am a self-contained, self-sufficient person in that respect. All right, the Gig Geezer's dropped off one of the orders, the DoorDash from Chick-fil-A. It was offered $8.25 and paid $8.25. So now we're making a dash over to the hospital, which is where the Grubhub order is next. And I've also got now a stacked Bite Squad/waiter order from the Insomnia Cookies. One is for $9.08, the other is for $11. So I've got basically a soft triple play going on. Actually, it was a soft grand slam if you considered at the time I accepted the order, I still had the DoorDash order in hand. But let's call this a soft triple play, and we're going to keep it moving. Alrighty, as soon as I left the second of the two waiter/bite squad drop-offs, or the third of the soft triple play, I just accepted a $15.48 stacked UberEats order from Backstreet's Grills. I was about to say Backstreet's Grills, which is a South Carolina East Coast way of pronouncing S combination words. They'll say screets, stringent. When it's streets, stringent. You get where I'm going with that. Anyway, I am not a linguist, and although I've been accused of being a grammar police person, it's not that. I do believe in trying to make as good of diction as possible, although I do have my faults with certain words as well. But anyway, so now we're heading to Backstreets. But a little backstory on the last drop-off. All three of my triple play orders were drop-offs at hospital. The Grubhub and the first waiter drop-off were at the same campus. The third one was at another hospital campus. There are like three major hospital systems in the Columbia metropolitan area. The lady had in her instructions a contactless delivery, nothing else. So when I get to the main desk, the lobby, this is one place where I'm allowed to make drop-offs. I contacted her and apprised her that I'm at the lobby with your order. Okay, I'll come down. And okay, so I just left. I turned around and left then. My feeling is that if it pains you so much that you can't leave delivery instructions, and it pains you to leave your office to come down and pick them up, then it's on you, sister. Almost at the Backstreet Grills location, and normally their orders are ready, especially when it comes to UberEats, so that's a good thing. Now these orders should put me over $70, and we're talking about 2.75 hours. It's still not a good clip. That's $70. Probably should be at about $80, $85. That just goes to show you how slow things have been. All right, so we got the Backstreet Orders, and the first order is literally right down the street from the restaurant. The second drop off is probably 5 minutes away. And as I was heading to, as I approached my vehicle, I happened to catch an Instacart from Michael's. I guess that's the arts and crafts creative place. The Instacart is for $19.54, 10 items. Now, if all the items are actually found, we're looking at possibly being around $90 for the first half hustle in about 3 hours, maybe 3 hours and 15 minutes. So we've dropped off the first of the two UberEats orders, and we still got the Instacart. Now the Instacart, if it pays out at $19.54, meaning that all the items are there, or whatever the combination that allows for it to pay that way, we're looking at about $91 in about 3 hours and 15 minutes. And I am okay with a number like that for the first half hustle, given that after the first hour, I was at $18, not even $18. Yeah, I was at $18.26. All right, so we've dropped off the second of the two UberEats orders, and the Michael's Instacart order is actually about 5 minutes from this actual point that I'm documenting this. As I've already noted, if the Michael's order pays $19.54, that's going to put me at $91 and change. And that is what I call keeping it close. And truth be said, a lot of my hustles are in that keeping it close range. So we're talking pretty much in that $90 to $99 range. This week in particular, though, I've had a lot of, as I mentioned in the onset, I've had a lot of long first half hustles. And what made them long actually was when I'd catch an Instacart that bails me out of what appears to be a rather dire situation. But then it is what it is. Not every order, not every opportunity is going to be this rosy, cheery situation. Not every order, not every opportunity is going to be bang, bang, you're in and you're out. That's just the way it is when you're working multiple apps. That's just the way it is doing the gig economy. But I'm okay with what's going on so far. Not in a recent Gig Geezer segment, I talked about having had to start a new winning streak, and my new winning streak of having earned $200 or more, I'm at 11 consecutive days. The previous streak was at 44 consecutive days in which I earned $200 or more. That spanned from February 6th or 7th all the way to March 26th, March 27th. And so when I go out here, it's easy to say I'm out here to make money, but I have no clue how things are going to unfold. In fact, when I start my hustles, I'm really concerned about how things are going to turn out. This is not 2021. This is not 2020. I'm not saying that we are beyond what you may say was the golden era of food delivery. I believe that things are actually going back to the way they were in 2019 when I first started. And I think that may explain too why I got some bad customer ratings on DoorDash. Because DoorDash, when I first started on DoorDash, I mean, the last time I had a 5-star rating was when I turned on the app for the very first time. Because my first 3 deliveries, I have shared this. I had a 2.33 rating after my first 3 completed DoorDash deliveries. So I've been trying to catch up ever since. And so when I peaked at 4.99, I'm like, hey man, that's pretty good for me. And actually 4.86 is not bad based on what I've seen. But at the same time, I'm seeing where people are trashing you for reasons unknown and probably reasons unjustified. I remember back in the 2019 where I remember getting a 1-star because the person didn't get their breadsticks. Well, the bag was sealed, so how would I know that the person didn't get their breadsticks? If they missed ketchup packets and all that stuff, I got trashed. But I also remember back then too, when I first started out, I would have this pre-scripted thing in which I would tell them that I'm their driver and I'm en route to the restaurant and all this, and if there are any additional condiments and all, and I was walking around like Lenny from JCPenney with a bag full of soy sauce and ketchup and mustard and you name it, forks, knives, spoons, napkins, and all that stuff in case a restaurant didn't have it. And I still got trashed. I mean, my rating back then was like a 4.3, 4.4. So I learned that none of that is really necessary. And I'm glad for the pandemic for that very reason, because that's something that I have not had to worry about. If there's missing items, contact DoorDash. If there's missing items, contact UberEats. But people still want to blame somebody, and so the most convenient person to blame is the driver. We are the front line. We are the front line of all this stuff, and for all the pretense of saying how they appreciate us, we know what that means. Okay, people come and go in this line of work. And these companies know it. It's not about retention. But the fact is that we deal with a lot of things as drivers that goes unnoticed and is probably unappreciated. The Gig Geezer is now heading to drop off the Michael's order. The best thing that happened for the Gig Geezer is that I happened to talk to a young lady as I came in, and I explained to her that I'm doing an Instacart, and that if you could just point me in the right direction, it'll be greatly appreciated. Well, she just actually led me to the aisles in which the items were on. There were a couple items in which the customer requested for 2, but there were only 1 available, and so I apprised the customer of that, and then there was only 1 refund. So this order may not pay $19.54, but as it would happen, I'm sure a lot of y'all noticed that with UberEats, you can be doing something on your phone and then a UberEats order just pops up, and then it looks like you've accepted this order when you really didn't. Well, I happened to notice it though. It's for $10.54 from La Isla Bonita, which means the beautiful island. This is a Puerto Rican establishment, and it's about 10 minutes from the drop-off location. As things appear to be turning out, the Gig Geezer is going to actually hit $100, and it's going to be accomplished in about 3.75 hours, maybe 4 hours. The dollars per hour may not be that sexy based on my past history of performance, but it certainly puts me in a position to make $200 or more for today. By the way, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. So we've picked up the Isla Bonita order, and give you a recap on the Instacart order. It paid $17.48 because of the partial quantities of 2 items and then a refund of another item. Altogether, going into this little Isla Bonita order, we're looking at about $88 and change. And with this order, it's going to put me close to $100. So that means I've made it close and not quite hit $100, unless the UberEats order, the stacked UberEats order pays out more. and that's always a possibility. Hopefully it will pay out more. So that's where I'm at for now. And by the way, hit that subscribe button, share my content among others, give my content a thumbs up, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. And I'll get back with you once I've dropped off this order and give you a final recap of this first half hustle. All right, so we're done for the first half hustle. Just dropped off the La Isla Bonita order at this apartment community. It did not dawn upon me though, but the lady did not put the items. She put them in something, but then again, it would have been better if she put them both in a large bag. The frijoles were in a paper bag, and then the empanadas were in a small, somewhat plastic bag. And it would have been better if she just put them in a larger bag altogether. And so before I handed the order off to the customer, I put them in a bag and explained to them that, hey, she didn't put them in a bag. But anyway, hopefully that didn't throw you off, that it's a public bag. I try to be prepared in certain situations. I recall when I was in the process of retrieving one's items from my vehicle. The bag of Oriental food just disintegrated in my hand, and fortunately, none of it ended up in the street though. But the bag was no bueno por caca. That said, I just happened to have some Aldi bags. I happen to have some Aldi paper bags, and I was able to put the contents in the Aldi paper bag and kind of save face with that. And that's kind of what happened with this La Isla Bonita order. The guy, voiced his appreciation, which is fine. But anyway, this order altogether, this first half also ended at $99. Very close, in fact. That's as close as you get to hitting your goal of $100. I mean, I've gotten to $99.98 before. But $99 is pretty close. Considering how things started, that's a pretty good save. If there's anything to draw from it, is that as I've often said, multi-apping is the way to go. Even for the gig geezer in my market. I mean, the Columbia metropolitan area is not the largest metropolitan area market in the state of South Carolina. It may be the busiest because of the university and it being the capital and their state government and all. But if it weren't for multi-apping, this probably would have been a very bad hustle for me. And so I encourage you, get on as many apps as you can. You've probably heard this from other people, and I'm not the first one to talk about it, although I like to think that I've been very consistent at advocating working multiple apps. Get on as many apps as you can, or get on as many apps as you, if you're able to get on as many apps as you can, work as many as you can handle. That's the other thing. And so keep that in mind when you're out there in your hustle. Once again, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. I'm Inwood Lane, and as always, may your hustle continue.